Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday, June 15th, in the Locher Room. I'm Alan Locher. Grant Alexander's Philip Spaulding joined the cast of Guiding Light in late 1982 with Judi Evans as Beth Raines, Michael O'Leary's Rick Bauer, and Krista Tesreau's Melinda Sue Lewis following Grant a few months later. The Four Musketeers, as they would come to be known for 4 decades, came together in 1983, and these characters would remain a vital part of the Springfield canvas until the last light went out in September of 2009. Today, the 4 actors who created this much-loved quartet are here to talk about Springfield in the 1980s, the stories that connected them to the Guiding Light audience, the importance of their on- and off-screen friendships, and where they think Beth, Philip, Rick, and Mindy are living today. Please, please, please help me welcome to the Locher Room the Four Musketeers themselves: Judi Evans, Michael O'Leary, Grant Alexander, and Krista Tesreau. Hello, hello. I can't.
Hi.
I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe it's 40 years this month. And I must thank one of our fans, Seamus, for reminding me that it's been 40 years.
Thank you, Seamus.
Crazy.
Thank you, Seamus.
You're shaking your head, Grant. I mean, when I reached out and said 40, did you all realize 40 years?
Yeah, after I went and looked in the mirror, I did.
Yeah, that's what my plastic surgeon told me too.
A little basic math and just 83, 23. Whoa.
That's crazy. Wow.
It doesn't feel like it.
It really is. But I'm sure today you realize that you didn't probably fully back then. But I mean, you 4 got so many of us hooked, for life on that show.
It was
amazing.
I don't want to speak, whatever was going to talk about that time, but it was the most magical time in my life to come to New York to start the show. And then, Grant and I have often talked about this, is that this story was handed to us, and it just was this convergence of the 4 of us and our friendship, the way Pam Long wrote the story. For me professionally, it was the best time of my life.
Do you remember the last time you were all in, I wish we were in person, but in a room together, 4 of you?
God, had to be 84 sometime. Yeah, probably.
80s. Yeah.
In the 80s.
Because I think when I came back in 86, and I think, Judi, you were already gone then. Yep. So I think it probably would have been 84 at some point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That gives me tears just thinking about that. I mean, it really, it's wild. Like I said, the Four Musketeers remained a vital part of the canvas until the very end. No social media, only snail mail. When and maybe if did you realize the impact of that? I know, Michael, you just described the impact on yourself, but the impact that we're talking about to the audience, was there a moment?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was on the show for maybe 2.5 months, and Krista and I got an appearance to go to Defiance, Ohio, at a shopping mall. And mind you, 3 months prior to that, I'm working at my father's all-white ceramic bead factory. Okay, that's God honest truth. And I couldn't get a date. It was pathetic. And I go to New York, work with this fine gentleman. We'll get to that in a second. And then all of a sudden, hey, Mike, you want to make it was $1,000 back in the day. $1,000 to go to the shopping mall in Defiance, Ohio. And so Krista and I went there. There was 12,000 people there, and the fire marshals. Krista, I don't know if they closed it down or if we ended up doing it,
I remember there was a big issue with no aisles and too many people in one place.
So that's when I realized that there was something special going on, because it's so insulating. We would go in there and we would work really hard, and we'd kind of, we lived in a box, so to speak, because we're the young storyline and we were working 12, 16, 18 hours a day sometimes. And you wouldn't know the impact until we did something, you do something like this.
Judi or Grant, do you recall having that moment?
Again, an appearance, I think we went, it was a volleyball up in the game up in the Catskills at one of the resorts up there. And as there were some of us, in a long black limo at the time, and people were throwing their bodies onto the limousine. And it was like, why? What's going on? Oh my God, this is frightening. But, no idea. Because like Michael said, you're in New York City, you're just going to work every day. You're just glad to be doing the acting thing. And, you're in that vacuum of, you don't even know if what you're doing is even coming across,
A little old studio on West 26th Street.
Love that studio.
Yeah.
I remember, getting all dressed up, at work, and some of the wardrobe I was wearing was just so beautiful. But at the end of the day, like Judi said, it's just, we're working, and I got back in my blue jeans, hailed the cab to just go uptown, go back home. And that was it. And I remember one of my appearances, I was down south in Georgia, and there was this huge billboard, and it was of my face. And I thought, oh my God, and that was a sign too, to me. That was a moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. One of the fans, Soap Love 1974, says, took the wildly popular youth summer love storyline to the next level.
Oh,
Grant, you were the first to arrive in December of 1982. Can you take us back? Betty Ray, your first few days on set. And it was Philip's parent storyline, right? That is what kicked you into the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have gotten luckier my first day, because all I had to do was walk onto the set, look around at a mansion that had drapes over everything. It was like the summer house that was not being used, and I had to sit down in the middle of one of the couches and say, "Welcome home, Philip." Pretty tough to mess it up. So that was my first day, which was great. But I do remember you hit on one thing that's really important. We were lucky back then. It was a different audience. We had a captive audience to a certain extent, because the pie hadn't been divided up with cable yet. So there was sort of a built-in share that you had a chance to get. And on top of that, we had, I think, the greatest casting director that anybody could ever get in Betty Ray, who put not just us together, but everybody else that was cast on the show together. We had a wonderful head writer who gave us all an opportunity to play out a story that was like a fairy tale. And because it was all of our first job, I think it was all of our first big job, we knew to the extent that we could, that we were doing something that was fun and seemed real, and we felt like we were doing good work. But because we didn't have anything to compare it to, it was really in some ways the reaction of people that sort of verified that, hey, this is something good.
Absolutely. Judi, Michael, and Krista, you all came next. Judi, do you remember, and Michael and Krista, Betty Ray, and what do you remember about?
Oh, when you acted with her, she was one of those casting directors who was completely in the scene with you. And what I really admired about her, she went to every single off Broadway play that there was. She loved actors, and there's something to be said, because I'm not quite sure all the people in this business do. So she did. She really did, and she was amazing, and just the sweetest woman, sweetest and classy.
Yeah, Betty used to say that she didn't cast actors, she cast eyes.
Oh,
Ooh.
I didn't hear that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's the first time I heard that. That's amazing. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and every actor who had the opportunity has all told me about acting opposite Betty, because she would do it with you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Jerry had a great story of a note she gave him or something. I remember Jerry sharing that once. Incredible. I told Michael earlier, Krista and Michael, differently, but you both, I think, started on that same exact day, or your air dates were both May 16th.
They were, yeah, May 16th.
Do you all remember meeting each other for the first time? Like, is there something that stands out from meeting each other?
Krista, do you remember us meeting?
Oh, yeah. At the screen test, I had a couple of callbacks.
Oh, yeah, the screen
and this
test.
was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
At the CBS Television City. And, there were 12 Mindys screen testing, all opposite of Michael O'Leary. And he was super nice to all the girls auditioning, screen testing. And I'll never forget, when I was screen testing, he said, "Oh, that was good. I think they really," and I was like, "You say that, I'm sure, to all the girls."
I did. I did.
He said, no. And that was my first time meeting Mikey at our screen test.
Yeah. Betty cast me not for Rick. I was the person facilitating the reading for the Mindys and the Beth characters. I auditioned with 12 young ladies, and I thought that was the end of it. And 3 days later, I get a call from Guiding Light and said I was the new Rick Bauer. That's how it worked out.
You were probably trying to impress all the Mindys and all the Beths, and you impressed Betty, which was most important.
Yeah.
Yep. And Judi, do you remember we met on the airplane?
I do. I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that's exactly the very first time I met you, because they Judi were you already cast, or were you screen testing again?
Screen testing. Again.
So I don't know why I thought you might have had the role, because you were the only one screen testing, and I thought, well, she's got the role, I'm sure. And so
there was still a screen test. There was I think a deal in place, but there was still just a screen test.
Okay, because when I got on the airplane, they had narrowed it down to 2 Mindys, and
Right.
they said you ought to tune into Guiding Light and see the gentleman, the actor playing the role of Philip Spaulding. I thought, oh, okay. They said his name's Grant. He's kind of tall. He's so good looking, blah blah. And so yeah. Right. So here, when I'm on this airplane, the other Mindy was a tall, beautiful brunette, and the first thing I thought to myself was, oh, I'm not going to get this role, because first they're going to cast Judi Evans. We're both. Well, you're taller than me, Judi, but I think we could almost be sisters or cousins, both blonde, and I thought, why would they want to hire another blonde when they have like Ken and Barbie, they're so beautiful and Grant, and I thought I could see them together. And honestly, that was my mindset going into it. And I thought, you better just enjoy New York and the whole experience. Yeah.
Enjoy this free ride to New York. Judi, did you screen test with Grant?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really, that was magical too. That was really magical. Everything about the whole experience of all the auditions, and then the whole experience of working with these fine young people was just really very magical.
Well, enjoy this.
Oh,
Lord.
Wendy, are you back?
Hi,
Oh, I thought you're.
I'm Philip Spaulding.
I know. My name's Beth. I'm sorry about falling.
Well, that's okay. Glad to be around to be of some service. Beth, what?
Name?
I know you from someplace.
Yeah, this morning. I fell. You caught me.
No. Before that. You go to Springfield, don't you?
Any memories of that?
Little bit. I can't. My voice was so high. Oh my lord. Yeah, total memories. That was really fun.
It's like watching our grandchildren now.
Yes.
No,
Pretty precious.
Yeah. Weren't we cute?
oh my God, that's pretty adorable. Yeah.
Aw.
Well, let's continue the memories.
The role of Rick Bauer is now being played by Michael O'Leary.
Oh, it's a scrambled egg soon, Mikey.
No.
Rick Bauer just getting up. Morning, Phil. What's the matter? You sick? No, I'm not sick. I'm just enjoying myself while I can before school starts. Mm-hmm. That's kind of funny. I didn't even think you enjoyed sleeping late. It's one of those things about your character that's always concerned me. Well, you can put your mind at ease because I do. Mm-hmm. Cup of coffee? Sure, go ahead. A letter from Morgan this morning. Seems like she's left town. Yeah, I got one too. Sounds like she made the right decision. Yeah? Did you talk to her before she left? No, I didn't get a chance. I was looking for you.
Crazy.
Oh,
Oh,
Dude, you guys are so good.
sweet.
that was my first day,
That was
and I
your
was
first day,
so
yeah.
nervous. And this great dear friend of mine made me feel right at home.
No, you were great from the get-go, Mikey.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that was on there with the introduction that we all who
Yeah.
watch soaps over the years.
Yeah.
The role is now
Yeah.
being played by.
Yeah.
You accept it.
And
You just
one,
completely accept.
well, and that's not always. That is
Well-
to the chemistry of Grant and Michael and you and Judi and all of that for all of us, to accept it and especially folks like yourselves, because you were all part of these major families, and that that is, I guess, what Grant was saying, the testament to Betty Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you get lucky. Looking back on it now, I think you can see, and I think we knew it at the time, even if we didn't know how to put it into words. We all did have a really nice chemistry with each other, and each one was different. We went through a million Mindys. I don't know how many screen tests and auditions we did to find Mindy, and they kept changing their mind about what they wanted.
Hmm.
But Chris, I think once they saw you, and they saw the energy that you had and the charm that you had and stuff, I think, okay, that's done. And Judi, we screen tested, but there wasn't anybody else for the role. I mean, it was going to be you. And then Mikey, as soon as you came on.
Oop.
Uh-oh.
Of course, it would, have to stop when it was about me. Chris,
Oh no.
Of
There
course.
you
go ahead and say,
Let me
you
say
were
what
saying, and Mikey, and then you cut off, and everybody wants to hear what you thought of Mikey.
I don't think I said anything about you,
Oh,
Mikey.
you did.
No, I do.
Oh,
I think that
man.
they saw that, they were looking for a certain kind of chemistry and a friendship between, two young guys. And I think that they saw that when you came on,
Yeah.
Well, what? One more.
Oh my gosh.
It looks like it's from
Hi.
Charlie Chaplin was on the
Glad
movie.
you're finally here. Yes, sorry about the mix-up, but I had to change my plans.
Look at this guy.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. This is my friend, Eddie Carnage. Carnage?
That's right, Mama.
Yeah, we rode the bus together all the way from Tulsa.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh boy.
Well, could we offer you
There. Woo!
Did our voices
Wow.
sound like that? Oh my gosh.
No. Yeah,
Wow.
that's one of the biggest things I noticed with all of us, our voices.
That was Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
So your first scene was with Rebecca.
Yes. Sweetheart. Right away we hit it off. My very first day just could not have gone smoother. It just felt natural. I loved it. I don't think I'm sure I was nervous.
It's so interesting how, Michael and Krista in the same episode, like Pam just, put it out there and it took off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. And I don't know how quickly the Central Park story came into play, but that's when we knew we had something really special.
Yeah.
And the show committed to that expenditure or whatever. But that's when there was, I don't know, 8 or 9 million people watching us every day, whatever that crazy number was. But they spared no expense for the story. And gosh, guys, remember all the big parties and when you saw anybody in a tuxedo, that was an 18-hour day. But the stuff in Central Park, to me, the stuff we did on location was probably one of my favorite.
Showing that clip though of you, Grant, and Mikey, walking into the Barra kitchen, could you have ever imagined here you two are today still the best of friends? Like,
no,
what a gift! What a gift!
The relationships are the greatest gifts of all of it, and it's I was thinking about this. It's over a year now that we lost Jerry, and it as wonderful a gift as it was to be a young actor on the show, and certainly nice to be able to pay for things. The greatest gift was the relationships with all of these people. It's the thing that I miss the most and that I cherish the most when I remember it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Really?
I was just going to piggyback on what Grant said is I remember when Shrita said to me, it was Quentin Noah's wedding and we were shooting, I think in Pennsylvania or something like that. And I was still nervous and still trying to find my way. And Shrita was sitting in a church pew reading the New York Times. And I hadn't met her yet. And I was at the back of the church. She turned around and she goes, so I kind of walk up to the front of the church and she says, sit down. She goes, welcome to Guiding Light. She goes, you're a Bauer now. And as far as I'm concerned, if you want anything, you come to me. I'll take good care of you. Welcome to the show.
Oh. Not surprising.
And I gave her a big hug. She was gracious and lovely to me. We didn't have her very long, unfortunately. But these are just, they're not limited stories. They're not, we have so many of these stories of, Bill Rourke and Larry Gates and Tom Rourke. And I mean, all of these folks that were our mentors when we came on. How blessed were we to have these actors that showed us the ropes and cared about it and did it with joy. They invested in us. Beverly McKenzie. But I mean, think of all these iconic actors that we had. They weren't just iconic actors, but they were like our family. And
talented people for the newcomers to be like ensconced in a blanket around this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wealth of history, not only Guiding Light, but history in the world, in entertainment, in the knowledge of their experience. Christmas at Guiding Light was such a special time over the years, but truly we all tuning in today, one of the most memorable was the year that Philip and Beth ran away to New York City from Bradley, and Rick and Mindy followed, and you, Beth and Philip, befriended a street corner Santa named Nick, who would return to the canvas every year, and I couldn't not include him.
You get out of happiness. You blow it, you settle for less. I know you well enough to know you don't believe that. Why is this so hard for me?
Philip, you have a big, strong heart, but you haven't used it in a long time. The heart's like any other muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. Only time and effort can make it work again.
I've got a wife, 3 kids, 5 grandkids waiting for me at home, and who have you got?
I mean, I can't,
Wow.
you know,
That's
for me,
great.
myself, I waited every year for him to return. I don't know if it was Pam's creation or another writer, but what a gift to you and the show that was.
We did too. Every year I would ask, you know, when's Rex coming on? His name was Rex Everhart, and he was just a wonderful old actor that had done everything. And when you were in a scene with Rex, it was like a lot of the older guys on the show that taught us everything. You kind of felt like you were being held in the palm of somebody's hand. You know, you were completely safe, and they were going to take care of you. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It's so interesting too, because it was he was introduced for all of you, but because it became such a, I think, hit with the audience, he had a powerful moment with many of our canvas after that because of the magic he created with you four.
Mm-hmm. The story that they wrote for us that first year, looking back on it now, and I think even then we were aware. I mean, Judi had the hardest stuff to do. She had the emotional through line to carry that was very difficult, and that she played so beautifully. And it allowed the rest of us to find our place in it. And she crafted the story so that each of the characters had a special place in it, and they were tied together in it. And at the end of the day, I look back on it because, as I said before, we didn't have anything else to compare it to. We thought everything was going to be like that. And whenever I'm asked, what was my favorite story on the show, I always say that story because it was the best, and it was really a great gift and a joy to get to be a part of it.
She had a great way with storytelling, where she would just involve so many characters, and everybody got something great to do, and she would incorporate so many different stories and weave them into other stories, and and there was a build. Well, it was back in the days when you could build a story,
Yes. Right.
It was romantic. It was wholesome.
Yes.
And people loved it. It was old-fashioned courtship.
Yes. Very 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also had, socially relevant, with abuse and rape.
And
But your abuse and rape and Lillian's.
Yeah. Or Red Lillian's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it was the first time that any of that had been done, but I know it had to be close to the first time that they had taken that on in certainly in daytime. And to be able to weave that into, as Mikey was saying, a story of almost gothic romance, that's no small feat.
Yeah.
Did you all have a relationship with Pam? And Gail Colby was the executive producer at the time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think Pam liked to know the actors. I certainly felt like I had a good relationship with Pam. She would check in with you from time to time to see, everything feeling okay to you. You like where we're going. I never got to know Gail as well. And that in some ways may have been, I'm responsible for that, because when she came on, she fired a lot of my friends immediately. And being really new on the show when Tom O'Rourke got fired, that sort of soured me on, a little bit on the production staff. And that was just an emotional reaction of being, a young guy who somebody got fired that I really, really was very fond of and looked up to. So,
I didn't know, I knew Pam would check in with me every now and then. And then every now and then I would go in and have a nice little talk with Gail. And by the way, just FYI, I just saw Gail Colby on an old episode of Mannix. I think it was Mannix.
And she does. Gail did a million things. You watch the
Yeah.
Twilight Zone. She's in like 2 or 3 of the old Twilight Zones and stuff.
Yeah.
She was a studio contract actress. She had great stories. Just a plethora of stories from back in the the great Hollywood stories. She was a pretty incredible lady.
Yeah, and I remember the first month or so, I was having contractual issues with my then manager, and I had an agent and a manager, and she said, "No, this is not right. What's going on?" She said, "I'm going to get you an attorney." She just took me under her wing and just helped me so much.
Another person who loved actors too.
Yeah.
Which has got to be helpful to you for, young actors starting out.
And Pam too. Pam started out as an actress. She
Yeah.
was an actress on Texas, and so she was, they're good people, really good people who cared about stories and cared about people.
Well, like Grant said, Judi, your story centered around all of this, the abuse. Did Pam pull you aside and tell you what this was going to be, and were you nervous tackling such a?
No, because I didn't really, especially in the beginning, I didn't know anybody really. I don't remember anybody really telling me the story. I mean, it just, you could read it in the scripts, and I tell you, working with James Rephorn and Tina Sloan, I mean, James Rephorn made that really work. He's a great guy, but he could play such a creep.
The sweetest man in the world playing the most abominable monster.
Yeah, Jim used to get cast in characters all the time that were like diametrically opposed to who he was as a person.
Completely.
Yeah.
The sweetest, funniest.
He was a scary character.
He used to tell a story after he had his daughter. He'd be going to a store, with his little daughter, and people look at him like,
creep.
With a little girl, really? Ew! And poor guy. He was just the nicest guy.
I never thought about that. That's awful.
Yeah. And he and Larry Gates, in the makeup room, they would just go, the funny, and they would just have this banter that was just off the cuff. That would just, you could just sit. I mean, it was like watching a show. You should have had to pay to sit in the makeup room.
Too bad we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
Some of the memories you have. I just
know. Thank God we didn't have cell phones back then.
Michael, you were talking sort of about the veterans, and Judi, one of the times that we spoke before, you talked about, Beverly McKinsey, what you learned, how she learned her lines. Are there things you've learned, from Jerry, Jordan, Maeve, Peter Simon, Chris Burnett, little things that stand out in your mind of what they taught you over the years?
There are way too many stories for that. I mean, you could pick any of those names. I learned so much from Chris. I learned so much from Larry, from Tom, and they were all different. Chris was a guy who, I learned how to be still, from Chris, and somewhat from Tom too. Tom used to always say the best advice he ever got as an actor was plant your feet, look them in the eyes, say it, and mean it. And that's the way Tom used to act. And because of who you are as a person and what you bring to it, different things work for different people. But I mean, you could go with any of those guys. Larry and Bill. How could you not learn anything you needed to know about acting just being around Larry and Bill? And Jerry. I mean, Jerry.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things too is every one of those actors were immensely generous. And it was always about the scene, not about them most of the time. It was about the storyline and about, I mean, getting back to like with Peter Simon, he had the kindest eyes. I remember always looking at him doing a scene.
Yeah.
He would look at me he was so deferential, and like he was my father, the father I always wanted. And he was just always so sweet. And I always felt like, I always felt very supported by Peter. and this guy here, and everybody. I mean, everybody in this room here, your room, was generous. We came. You know what? All things. We came to the set. We came prepared because we didn't want to disappoint the people around us, particularly the veterans. I don't ever remember having immense trouble with lines or like stuff like that. You just wanted to come and be prepared. And with my first scene with Grant, I spent a lot of time on the airplane memorizing that line. And those scenes were long, weren't they, Grant? Back in the day.
The scenes were longer back then for sure.
Yeah. But
I'm rebooting. I think I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah.
Larry just said, just do it. Don't overthink it. He just kind of made it seem so, just get it out of your mind and just say it. Just do it. And every now and then we'd be in a scene and Larry would just go off on a monologue from a Broadway show 30 years prior. Just the most generous actor. Yeah, he would always say, no, you get up here. You get in front. You get, he was my grandfather.
Oh, he was all of our grandfathers.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, it is so interesting, when you talk, like Grant, you said you guys were looking forward to Rex returning. Everybody wanted Larry on, That's why it's so interesting. Powers that be never understood, like the veterans, those elderly statesmen meant the world to the viewers.
Yeah.
The family, the characters. Are there scenes, I know it's 40 years ago, so that's hard. I can't remember what I ate this morning, but like, are there any scenes that, come to mind of fun or,
Oh, sure. Can I tell one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start. It's a little off color, but I think it's a little keeping in the thing here. So we were, Krista and I were in a love story, and she was, I don't know, a stable keeper, or there was some horses or something.
Oh,
And
okay. Which one? Oh, Grant. Oh, okay. Go on, Michael.
Should I not tell this?
So, of course, yeah. 40 years later.
Well,
Please tell me anything.
We're trying to get through the lines, and Krista got the giggles. You just had the giggles, and you just could not stop laughing. Remember, Krista?
Oh my God!
And Bruce Berry got over and he goes, "Guys, we're going to go into a meal penalty. Is that what you want? You better get it right this time." And I took Krista aside. I just didn't like anybody getting mad at me because I'm such a people pleaser. I go, "Krista, come on, we got to get this right." She goes, "Okay, Mike, yeah, I'm going to get through it. So we get through it, and
wait a minute, you kept ad-libbing. Wait, let's throw that in there. You kept.
Oh well, okay. I was, I was having.
The bus? What?
So, get to the place where Krista clearly, had trouble with her line, and then she was trying to suppress her laugh.
Well, this is after a dinner break.
Right. And
so you go to the meal penalty. Oh.
And she farted. And it wasn't a cute one. It was not a cute one. It sounded like Shamu, and he was like, and everybody looked around. The crew's all looking, goes, "Hey, Larry, was that you?" "No, that wasn't me." "Jim, was that you?" "No, it wasn't me."
They assumed it was one of the guys.
No one could believe. And then they get over the speakers. "All right, somebody get the horse off the set, please. Somebody get the horse out." And the guy goes, "It wasn't my horse." And then Krista, she's shaking. She was just like, And then Bruce goes, "Mail proud." And he goes, "We're breaking for a meal. We're breaking for a meal." And
Krista, but I remember standing next to Judi, and and when it happened. Judi gave this look to me like, "Oh my God!" Like, "Oh my God, you just farted."
It was an
the
explosion.
look was, "Hey, I got to teach you how to be silent with that girl."
It was an explosion. It was an explosion. It wasn't a fart. It was an explosion. So,
That's very unkind, Mikey. That is very unkind.
well,
Wow.
Krista, you're a good sport about that. I mean,
Yeah.
Not anymore.
It is
you
part of
better be a
life.
good sport.
Well, wait a minute. Cut to like 20 years later, I'm in a drugstore and I pick up a soap opera digest, and one of it is Down Memory Lane with Michael O'Leary.
Oh.
Oh yeah, no. And I'm standing in line checking out, and I'm reading this story. I'm like, oh my God. And he tells the whole story, and you hear me audibly go, and people are looking at me in the line like,
Oh my
Sweetie,
gosh.
what are you reading?
Oh my goodness.
You know, he proceeded to tell that whole story and more.
It's just a testament to how much you love Michael, because she still talks to you.
Yeah.
Krista
He's one of
kinda
my
likes
best
it.
friends.
Very,
Yeah.
very, 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 very true. Very
We're best
true.
buddies.
I thought, Grant, it was going to be you and me in the stable. There was another like super embarrassing. You know what I'm talking.
Uh-oh.
Let it
What?
go.
What?
Let it go.
No,
Let it go.
What?
Something about we were petting Boss the horse, and then we started kissing and rolling around in the hay. And
And
you
did the
know,
horse do something?
it was so I always had like this bodysuit that comes up, when it goes across here. And then I had like a sack, like a potato sack that was in the barn or something. And so here, after a little sexcapade there, we were talking, and all of a sudden you just started getting the giggles, I think.
Oh yeah, I
Rings
do
a
remember
bell
this now. Oh,
And
they
all
got
of a
mad. They got really mad.
Well, and I started hearing giggles off, like cameramen. And I'm like the most shy person, actually. I really am. I was never one to like any risque scenes. I'd say, no, that's somebody else. That's not me. And I was always very conservative. And mind you, a year before, I'm in an all girls, school, small school.
You're a
And,
St. Louis girl.
Uniform. And so anyway, I think I was so into my scene with Grant that I'm saying, and it just kept dropping.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I did not realize it because I'm so into the scene, and all of a sudden I hear giggle, and I say, cut. I'm like, what's going on? Or something. And
I don't know why.
And then
Good
I
things
had
we didn't have
forgotten
cell
about that.
phones back then.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
yeah.
There is that tape somewhere, somewhere. It's like, I love Krista Tesreau.
No, this is just like accident.
Some editor has sold it on the black market
Yeah.
somewhere.
Talk about though, in the moment, I could not have been more embarrassed. I'm sure I turned
Poor
every shade of
thing.
red.
Oh,
God.
I'm sure.
Good
Now
for you,
Krista,
Krista.
Sex tapes and everything,
Yeah,
those kinds of,
Yeah.
Right.
Krista, Karen was asking, can you give us one granddaddy?
Oh God. One of my favorite lines with him. Well, no, that was with Daddy, Granddaddy. Well, he was, one of my favorite lines is, Granddaddy, can I have some money for some shoes? And he'd say, yeah, darling, how much do you want? How much? And I'd say, oh, this much. Of course, he had it all in cash in his back pocket.
Of
Granddaddy.
course.
Yeah. Granddaddy.
Judi and Krista, did you ever watch Beth Chamberlain and Kimberly Sims play Beth and Mindy? Because, again, casting such thoughtful and talented recasts, which is a tribute to how beautifully you two created these, that other folks came in and took it and rode with it.
I didn't. I know she was terrific. I'm just so, I'm kind of that way with men too. Once they're mine, they can never be anybody else. So I was very, no.
Territorial?
Yeah, I'm kind of that way. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible person, but I know she was terrific, and Tina talks about her so often, so I know she was fantastic.
Well,
And likewise.
Both you were both daughters to Tina, Beth
Oh,
Chamberlain and you. You know, Tina speaks so highly of both of you.
She's an amazing woman. An amazing woman.
Yes. And you know, I never did watch really Kimberly Sims. I met her. She was sweet as can be. And but just I felt like she played Mindy, and it was her prerogative to be however she wanted to portray the character. But I feel like my Mindy was young. I was young, you know. I was 19 when I started, and I played Mindy was 17. And by the time Kimberly, you know, it came on, she was a little older. She was more mature. I felt like it was a very different character.
Yeah, well, you know, the younger Philip and Rick, all of a sudden, they were, you know, soap opera rapid aging syndrome. They were different, you know, characters.
Yeah. Right.
Grant, you were paired with both ladies. You know,
Careful.
Careful.
Well,
Careful.
this is coming from a fan, Jeff.
Oh, sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He says, I want to ask that as blessed as you were to have love stories with both, did you have a preference, not working with, but did you like Mindy and Philip together or Beth and Philip together?
Oh, I always think Beth and Philip made the most sense. And I played every story that I ever played. And God, I think I was married 7 times. I don't know how many kids. But it was for Philip, it was always Beth. Underneath everything, the love that he had was for Beth was the special, really special thing. You know. But I love working with both of them, and I've been blessed to. I mean, God, look at all the people that I was fortunate enough to work with. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
He certainly was. He froze again.
Yeah. But as far as Philip, you know, the wedding, Philip and Mindy, it was that shotgun, you know, the shotgun wedding with Mindy and Philip. So Philip, clearly, do you remember, Grant, in that moment, you looking over and there's Granddaddy with his rifle.
Yes.
Like, does that.
Yes.
And then in that line from the priest, do you, Philip, take Mindy to be your lawfully beloved? And what do? My hand goes right onto your here, and I'm just grabbing you. Like, the answer is yes, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you pretending to be pregnant? Were you pretending to be pregnant at that time?
Was I?
You were pregnant, and you
were pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, and lost the baby. Lost the baby. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Lost the baby.
People might not remember this, but Beth was my date at the prom. Right. I didn't go home with Beth. Somebody else did. That was the beginning. I could never turn my back on this guy.
You really couldn't.
Yeah, I'm not bitter. Because I ended up, you know, Mindy was a nice date and everything worked out fine. But
you got the funner one, Mikey. You got the funner one.
When he came over to borrow the vacuum cleaner, he was there for other reasons, and can never turn my back on you, buddy. And I love you for that. I love you still.
I don't remember it that way.
You don't remember anything, yeah.
Grant, the prom. Who did you take to prom?
I took Beth to the prom.
No, because Mindy was so devastated. I turned to Daddy and said, Daddy, and I'm crying. He says, darling, who would you want to take to prom? Who can I get for you to? I said, I don't know, somebody who's like really strong and really good looking. They've got to be good looking. And the next thing you know, here is from the New York Jets football team, the quarterback.
Oh, Richard Todd. That's
came
right.
and made a guest appearance.
That's right. I forgot that. Yeah.
At the same time, Greg Buttles.
I'd forgotten that. I can't
Richard
remember who
was my
Philip went with.
date.
I'm having.
So this is just getting sadder. So I went home alone. I didn't even have you.
Oh,
You were with Richard. You were with the football player. Thank you, Krista. Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean,
Good
but
stuff.
Mindy wanted to be with Philip, not Richard Todd.
Wow.
But yeah.
Wow. That was a bad
It
prom
was
date.
all that's what Pam did, you know. I wanted to be with Philip. Rick, you know what I mean? Philip wanted to be with Beth.
They were all
And then
messed
you got-
up.
It was just, yeah.
They were.
Do you remember that dance, Judy, when you guys were dancing in the prom and the cameras above you, and you were just the look that look on your face in that scene when you were dancing, and it gets back to what Grant was saying. The story was going through your character and your experience, and you played that so beautifully.
Yeah,
You're so sweet.
It was a young girl falling in love with her prince. Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, it ended up in the opening.
Too. I mean,
You did, yeah.
You can't do anything like this by yourself. You know, you can only do it when you have someone else's eyes. You know, but I remember that prom thinking, because they brought in the crane camera, and it was like, oh, this is like a movie. I think I said that to my parents, and they thought, oh, poor little, you know.
Poor little.
Oh, they felt so sorry. You know, I'm like, it was like a movie, duh. That was so much fun that night. It was, I didn't get to go, I wasn't invited to my prom, so it was like the best prom ever.
Well, and then Guiding Light at the end, really, Krista was able to return and Beth Chamberlain, and they recreated the prom near the end of.
Oh, that's so
wonderful. Right. It was like it was I think the high school reunion.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, so it really took it full circle. I mean, it really is incredible, the impact. Another fan, Camera Lady, says, so many wonderful memories watching the Four Musketeers with both of my late grandma and late mother, what I wouldn't give to go back to that time. And I think that's everyone's, you know, feeling. Krista, can you talk about Jordan? Because everybody always asks about Jordan.
Yeah. I'm asking about Jordan myself because I have not spoken with him in a long, long time. And one of the best, just one of the best. I didn't look at him, honestly, as my father on the show. He was just this fun friend who I worked with. And talk about a giving actor. He was just the most generous guy to work with. Funny beyond funny. Had me laughing every day. You know, loved him to pieces. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some stories.
I mean, isn't he one of the ones who like learned his lines like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He would have his wrinkled up script in the rehearsal hall, and he would just be like, he would have none of it down and think but from the time he left rehearsal hall to the time he got up, I never saw Jordan go up on the line.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was amazing.
He did smoke, and you know, right off stage, Locke Wallace would say, "Places, please," and 3, 2, 1, and he would be taking a big drag and step on it, and they'd say, "Action," and he was stepping on it still. Let's go.
Well, you know, it's funny. I probably met all of you around that time as a fan of Guiding Light. Judy just texted me this photo of us.
Oh,
wow.
But I have to tell you that it was Beth being blinded.
Oh, yeah.
That explosion, the New York Daily News did a story on Guiding Light using a blind school for that story. Andy's sister was J. Smith Cameron, who just played Jerry on Succession. But if it really wasn't for that Daily News article, we would not all be here today, because it had the address of where Guiding Light was, and that's when I first started going to Guiding Light.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and I was a fan first, and there are so many fans here today. Can you talk about your connection to your fans over the years? I mean, I
just felt so appreciative. I really did. I was so thankful. We all got a lot of just mail, snail mail, and just I would go home and read them, and it would blow me away. Just some of the things and the complimentary things, but also about themselves and what it meant to them, you know, just escaping in many ways, watching the show, or it took them out of their own, I don't know, it just kind of gave them a breather watching the show. And so I felt so fortunate, you know, that they appreciated us. I appreciated them.
Yeah, not only did we, I mean, it felt a lot, the fans were always respectful, and they have always supported us, everyone here, no matter what we're doing, even if we left the show and doing other things, they were always pulling for us. And that's the sense I always had. They always wanted the best for us, regardless if we're doing the show or some other things. I particularly am very attached to the, you know, I'm now of the age, I'm in my 60s, but I always looked at the folks who were seniors who watched the show, and that was something that was very important to them. And so I'd love to call people on the phone and say, hey, you know, happy birthday, or just connect that way. And it just takes 2 seconds of our time to do something like that. And it means so much for people to have that connection with us. Yeah, I mean, every year they would come support us. It was at the Hyatt or Hilton or something, and they would come out, and we would have that connection with them. And
right. I mean, we all felt their passion. I felt their passion. Yeah. You know, when they would come up so excited, it would make me want to just meet everyone I could. Seriously. And
yeah, and they still, I mean, even today, I always thought it was like the greatest part of.
Oh no!
Oh, well, I remember at an airport.
It's like God is doing it right on his.
I know.
You know.
Oh my gosh, that's so.
Yeah, well, he'll continue. Judi, for you.
Well, I did get especially a lot of mail regarding the storyline with Bradley. So a lot of women who reacted to that, who had their own stories, who had never been able to
vocalize it,
deal about it. So it was nice. I did the same thing Michael did. I would call them and talk to them, and I think that was the moment, realizing the impact that a positive impact that you could have on people in doing what we do. Because sometimes it's really fun for us and we love it, but you think, you know, how am I contributing to the world? You know, so it was nice that, you know, you could have that connection with people, and the fans are so amazing. And what's great too with social media now is that we can reconnect, and all the clips online, and, you know, all those memories, and get to reach out to those generations that are still watching.
Still here for you for. Grant, if you could say that again, please.
Yeah, sorry. I always thought it was one of the greatest things that there would be people who were ill or in a really bad way, that you could connect with them, and it was such a small thing for you to do, and such a huge thing for them. And I had it happen recently again. An old classmate of mine from high school in Baltimore got in touch with me and said, I know somebody who's a patient at Johns Hopkins. She's really in a bad way. Loved the show. You were a favorite character. Any way, you know, you could maybe give her a call. And so it got facilitated, and I got to spend some time talking to her, and I had some stuff left from the show that I sent to her. And, you know, they're so grateful. But I guarantee you, I got more out of it than she did, because it is such a small thing to do, and yet it gives you such a feeling of meaning, you know, that I mean, what we did, I mean, we were really lucky. We had a blast.
Oh.
Oh,
the internet.
The
internet.
Oh,
my
dang it.
I know.
The internet.
Yeah. There you are.
You were very lucky.
Yeah, we were very lucky, and just to get to share that part of it, that's a gift. That's really a gift.
Absolutely. Before I forget, the weekend of October 8th, we are doing an in-person, the 19th annual Daytime Stars and Strikes, to raise money for autism and the Jerry Verdorn Scholarship Fund. I hope the four of you can make it. The fans are going to be in New York for the first time since the pandemic together. So we look forward to that. If you had a crystal ball, where do you think Philip, Rick, Mindy, and Beth would be today?
Ooh.
Well, because Rick killed 44 patients, I'd be in jail at some point. I mean, it's really medical malpractice. I was not a good doctor. So, and I'm being serious. I killed a lot of. I never saved one person on the show. Not one. That's a fact.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if we were playing reality, I mean, I was a horrible doctor. But if I were to get away,
you'd be on trial for malpractice.
If I were able to get away like I did for so long, what would I be? I don't know. I'd probably be in Chicago doing community service if I didn't get in jail, something like that. That's what I did. That's what, when I went off the show, I went to Chicago doing community service for medical malpractice.
Would Philip and Beth have grandchildren?
Yeah, I think we already do, don't we?
You do.
Oh, it wasn't here.
Oh, yeah. Lizzie had somebody who had children. Yeah, I don't know.
Beth and Philip have children?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, they have children. Yes.
Yeah.
Hayden Panettiere was your daughter.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
What was your daughter? Michael's got a new series coming out in the fall. Michael, tell us about Terror on Lake Drive.
It's called Terror Lake Drive, and it's coming out in the fall on Amazon Prime and what else is AMC?
This is Mikey.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And I play a guy named Charles Marshall, and that's a flashback to the 1850s. But I play it's a very challenging role. I play a billionaire real estate mogul who is a racist, and I build these resorts over sacred burial grounds. And it's 7 episodes, and it was challenging to play this type of guy, but it was it was a really good experience.
Yeah.
Fun. Can't wait to see it. What's it called again?
Terror Lake Drive.
Krista, what was it like accompanying Michael to the premiere of Halloween?
Oh, it was great fun. It was just so nice having Mikey out visiting, and that was a really special time for us to just catch up. And there were fans out there, and they were saying, Rick and Mindy, wow, it's been only 40 years, and But to answer your question before, Alan, I think they ended the show with Rick and Mindy engaged to be married.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would envision Rick and Mindy being married, having children, Mindy being a fashion gal, traveled a lot to Europe, probably would settle down having her own clothing store. That's kind of how I visioned Mindy and kids and grandkids.
Do you think Mindy and Philip would get together again, though?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I think at some point, Mindy.
I think maybe
the ship sails at some point. Yeah. And I think Mindy matures, and Mindy realized she had a love that was right there for her the entire time.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Oh, good.
I mean, it is incredible. Pam paired each of you, and the fans hook, line, and sinker to Beth and Philip and to Rick and Mindy.
Yep.
Yeah,
they really did.
Yeah.
But there were supporters of Philip and Mindy, and
there were others who came in, but I think that really the fans would still love to see those pairings together.
Was there ever
to have brunch, right?
What's that?
It'd be fun for the 4 of them to have brunch. They would be having brunch every Sunday. I think
they would.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Some little golf and
at
the country club.
Sure.
Oh, their grandchildren would be dating.
Yeah.
Grant, are you still writing a book?
Yeah, hey, as a matter of fact, Sharon, I've just finished, and we're looking for an animal-friendly literary agent. Now it's taken us. We've been working on this for years, and we finally have it at a place where we're really happy with it. So yeah, hopefully we will have that out before long, and I'll let you know details.
That's awesome. And Judi, congrats on all the success on Days. I mean, it's the fact that it was picked up for 2 years on Peacock is testament to people tuning in.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Congratulations, Judi.
Great people over there. So
Mhm.
not as good as these four.
You know what Judi said earlier? They do 9 shows a week.
Oh,
9
my
and
goodness. Wow.
Start at 8:45, finish at 4. It is insane.
And so many more episodes than we ever did. Wow.
And the speed is just breakneck. Did we do that scene? Okay. All right.
Tapes are good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
But I think
moving on.
I cut myself up. It's okay. All right. That's okay. Cool. No, but it's a really good group of people, and but I miss you guys a lot. Those were magical times, and I miss what we were able to do back then. A lot. I miss the 18-minute scenes.
Yeah. I think the fans do too. Judi, before you go, you have played multiple characters. Is there one that's closest to your heart?
They all hold such a special place. Beth does hold a special place. I mean, she was the first, and she was. I mean, it was a great
and an Emmy.
Yeah. It was the time though, and the working with these wonderful actors, and it was truly magical. And that was wonderful, but it's really, it's hard to explain. I mean, that's really wonderful and everything, but you can't. That's not one person. Those are. I mean, really, it's a culmination of writing, the people that you're working with, the crew that you're working with. It's really something we all, I think, truly share. But that character a lot. But I do really like Bonnie. It's fun. She's fun. She's bad.
Bad is always better.
Naughty.
Absolutely. You four, this is really magical. That time was magical. I appreciate this so much. I know the fans really do. They've asked for this for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone out there.
Yeah.
You gave us. We had these great jobs, and you made it happen for us.
Mm-hmm.
We would not have these great jobs if it wasn't people watching at 3:00 in the afternoon or whatever time it was.
And
what was that phrase, Mikey? Blue skies.
Blue skies and
Palomino
pony.
You would say that every time. I had no clue what it was in
that
reference
may be the
to.
last time I ever say it.
No, one more time. I don't want to be clapping. One more time, please.
One more time, Grant. One more time. Since this is the closing, let's go. And 5, 4, 3, 2.
3, 2, 1.
Blue skies and Palomino ponies.
It's
Thank you, my friend.
That's a great way to end the show.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you, Alan.
guys. Great seeing you guys.
Seeing you.
Great seeing you
Be well.
guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you to Grant, Judi, Michael, and Krista for taking the time to look back at an incredible time on Guiding Light. Join me tomorrow when another Guiding Light alum, Lawrence St. Victor, stops by to tell us about the Bold and the Beautiful's trip to Italy. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so down below. Click the like button if you like today's show. And if you want to download an audio version, search The Locker Room on your favorite streaming platform. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.